Hello, everyone, and we're live to you from Kigali-Rwanda, the Kigali International Financial Center, the KIFC, the venue of the three-day Inclusive FinTech Forum 2023 Summit, which started on Tuesday. The summit's ending today. It's been 3 days of very intense conversations here between policy leaders, President of Zambia, as well as the host president, Paul Kagame. And then, of course, you've got a couple of ministers of finance, central bank governors, the head of DFIs across the continent, including big names within Africa's fintech space, spending the last 2 days discussing the ecosystem for financial technology on the African continent, the entire ecosystem from funding to women in fintech, in greater inclusivity, where we need sustainability within the financial technology system on the African continent. The conversation has been around why policies from the government, good policies are needed, where we need to include women and youth in the entire system, and why the African fintech system and the financial services industry, including the capital market, need to come together to begin to fund startups, provide venture capital monies that is needed for the fintech on the African continent. So it's been quite a very intense conversation. The payment system operability, as well as scaling access to lending for the sector, is also being discussed. We've heard from the founder and CEO of Flutterwave, who's a Nigerian-born who was here as part of the conference 2 days ago, as well as the memorandum of understanding, which was signed yesterday, which was Thursday and Wednesday, between the FinTech Africa Network and the FinTech Association of South Africa to broaden cooperation and partnership between the various FinTech associations on the continent. And that was the crux of what President Paul Kagame said in his speech. There's a need for more collaboration between African sovereigns and the private sector as far as FinTech was concerned. The president of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, also focused on why there's a good need for good partnership between the private sector and the government. He asked private sector organizations on the continent to be specific in terms of the legislation, laws, rules, whatever they want the government to change to enhance fintech business on the African continent. So it's been very interesting. We've also heard from Jeanette Kagame, who's Her Excellency, the First Lady of Rwanda, regarding the role of women and how to increase the women participation in Africa's fintech space. Today, we'll be having a whole lot more conversation today, being Thursday, the 22nd of June, when the summit will be wrapping up later in the day. But just to raise the curtain for today, for you, there'll be further conversations and panelists discussing further areas of within the fintech space on the continent. To talk about sustainability, we'll care about more in terms of providing access to energy as part of what infrastructure that fintech operators and institutions need on the African continent. The global geopolitics, the whole problems around the world, from inflation, the higher interest rate, higher inflation, the cost of funding, globally speaking, and geopolitics, the Russian war in Ukraine, US, China, a diplomatic face-off, and all of that. All of these are part of the conversation where Africa needs to take the destiny of its emerging fintech ecosystem in its own hands and put its money where its mouth is, and vice versa. Reporting from the Inclusive FinTech Africa Summit in Kigali, put together by Elevandi and the Kigali Financial International Center, the KIFC, I am Bosun Omofaye for Frontier Africa Report.